650 million girls under the age of 18 will be married worldwide. This is twice the population of the United States. A child bride is any female forced into a marriage while under the age of 18. Here are some of their stories.
52% of South Sudanese girls are married before the age of 18. The LA Times reports about a girl in South Sudan who would be married off against her will to an elderly man she had never met. She would be the newest of his 6 wives. In South Sudan, a woman is valued at how many cows she's worth. The price of a bride is typically 20 to 40 cows. A girl who is well valued can fetch as many as 200. The girl was told she would have to marry a 70-year-old man, and she refused. As a result, her father would beat her, and her brother would slash her throat, and she survived.
The Guardian reports that in Afghanistan, due to the severe drought, families have begun marrying off their children. In the case of 10-year-old Azizgul and her 13-year-old husband, Azizgul's mother, Sahatgul, stated, "I need to sell my daughters because of the drought." 3 months prior, she married off her 15-year-old daughter. She states that times used to be better and she didn't have to do this, but if the drought worsens further, she'll have to marry all 5 of her daughters. The 2,000 Afghanis for the bride helps the Sahatgul provide for her family. In another case, a farmer sold his 8-year-old daughter Samaya for 3,000 Afghanis to a 22-year-old man named Muhammad.
Girls married before the age of 18 are twice as likely to be domestically abused, 23% more likely to suffer a heart attack, cancer, or stroke, and 31% more likely to live in poverty than a woman who marries in her 20s. One thing these underage brides typically have in common is their lack of access to education. In Mozambique, 60% of uneducated women will be married before the age of 18. This number decreases to 10% with a secondary education and 1% with a higher education. Underage marriage is not just a problem in developing countries, it's happening in our own backyard.
Human trafficking is a major problem worldwide. So, what is human trafficking? Sex trafficking is modern-day slavery, which engages a child or adult in sexual exploitation. The states in America with the worst sex trafficking problem are states with high immigrant populations such as Texas, California, and Georgia. The majority of people in the USA who are trafficked are from Asia and South America and tend to be trafficked more than United States citizens. Not all trafficking is sex trafficking, but can also be forced domestic labor. These trafficking rings are hidden and secretive, and around 10% of trafficked children are boys who are more likely to be trafficked into agricultural work and drug trade, while girls are more likely to be trafficked into sex rings. Law enforcement has led sting operations during the 48th and 49th Super Bowls and rescued in total 93 victims of trafficking rings and 645 pimps and people involved in trafficking rings. This problem does not just affect the U.S., but it also affects the whole globe. Solving this issue is a challenge, but we as a society can take steps toward freedom for children and women in sex trafficking rings. One step we can take is the restoration of victims of trafficking rings. We can counsel them and give them access to support groups. Another step we can take is to educate the communities and law enforcement about this issue. And on April 11, 2018, President Trump signed the Stop Enabling Sex Traffickers Act, which is aimed at shutting down websites that facilitate the buying and selling of victims in sex trafficking rings.
For more information, check the links listed.